Poker blog number one. um, as you guys may or may not know, I've been playing pretty high stakes poker for the last 2 years now, probably. This was 2 weeks ago I played, and I want to say I started out with $400. Anyway, this we're not the I don't got the table set up correctly, but we're playing $1, $3 cash game. I'm in first position, and I limp in for $3, and then it goes all the way around, and then two players in late position, I believe called the $3. They might even have raised. I don't remember exactly. It's kind of. I know I should have kept better records, but I remember mainly what happened. There might have been a $10 raise pre-flop, because I know the two blinds were not in it. So I believe there was only three players in the hand. So I want to say probably someone in late position raised the $10. Another player called, and then I called as well. And the flop was king, king, queen. And I believe it checks around. I don't think anybody bets, or if someone bets, it's a very small bet, maybe $20. On the turn, I'm not sure exactly what number it was, but let's just say it was I'm pretty sure it was a spade. And the player with king 5 bets 100. I call the 100, and the other player calls the 100. So now let's just say the pot is it's probably 330, somewhere around there. And then on the turn is a 3. And maybe I should have checked. I was first to act, as I was the first after the buttons. I mean, after the blinds, I was the in first position. And I go all in. I think I have around 216 left. So maybe I had a little bit more than 300 to start I must have had a little more than 300 to start the hand. I must have won a small pot or something before that. So anyway, I go all in. The second player with the flush calls, and the guy with king 5 folds. And I win a good pot, and I go from $300 to $700, and I believe this was like the second hand we played. The very next hand, sorry, I'm dealt ace queen suited. Granted, the blinds are $1, $3. I believe someone on the button had put on a $6 straddle. um, a player, a player three players to my right raised $25 pre-flop. And this is probably the tightest player at the table. He's an older gentleman. He's a very good poker player. I watched him one time. I played with him. He must have been there for 5 hours, and I don't think he played a single hand all night long. So I know he's a super tight player. So he raised 25 pre-flop. The player directly to my right calls the 25. I put him, the player to my right, probably on a small pocket pair, maybe sixes, sevens, eight, somewhere around there. He's the type of player that likes to go all in with medium pairs, tens, jacks, stuff like that. Just try to go for a quick double up. I don't like three players in the hand, so I bump it up to 75 pre-flop. And the tight player calls, and then the other player calls as well, which I thought was surprising because, like I said, normally he will either go all in or fold. So, and the flop comes ace 10 5, and so there's 75 plus 75 plus 75. There's probably an extra $6 from the straddle guy who did not call the 25. So there's, I don't know, more than $200, 225, 230 in the pot. The the tight player bets 200, and the second player folds, and it's up to me. And I put the guy probably on something like this, something like ace king. And I have, I'm like, I got ace queen suited. Can this guy really have ace king here? And I'm left with a dilemma because I had 700 pre-flop. It's hard to call the 200 on the flop. To me, it's either go all in or fold. And if I go all in and I'm wrong, I'm out because the guy had over $1,000 in chips, whereas I only had $700. So he had me covered. And pretty much I had been going all in with when I had the nuts, when I had the best hand, and part of me thought that even if he does have ace king, if I re-raise him all in, he might put me on fives, he might put me on maybe something like king queen of diamonds, which gives me a flush draw plus a gut shot straight draw. um, which would be a dangerous. Uh, which would be, pretty much a coin flip against his top kicker. Um, or maybe he put me on ace 10 or pocket fives or pocket tens. Um, I don't know. I should have just folded, but I ended up going all in. And this is the third hand of the night. Like the second hand, I went from 300 to 700 with my full house, kings over threes, and then this is the third hand, and the guy who I think had probably a middle pocket pair, he's out. Um, but yeah, he'd bet 200 into a 225 pot. I don't know. I kind of thought maybe he might do something like that, even if he had. I mean, I knew he had a strong hand because number one, he raised pre-flop $25. This is a 1-3 game. Like I said, he sometimes he doesn't play a hand for 5 hours, and then I had re-raised him pre-flop to $75, and he called me. So normally, if he did not have a premium hand, he would have just folded that re-raise. So I know he has a good hand, and something just said that maybe he has ace king, and that's really the only hand I could think of. But then part of me was thinking, well, maybe he has kings. I don't know if he bets kings this way, even with the ace out there. And then if he gets re-raised, he can, fold or whatever. I don't think he does that with aces. I don't think he bets 200 with trip aces. I would think he would probably want to check and then wait for a bet and then do a check re-raise in that situation. So anyway, it's always dangerous going against a player that has more chips than you, and the average stack at the table was probably around 300. So him and another guy bought in for 1,000, but I ended up going bust this hand, and I re-raise them all in. He calls me. He's got ace king. I got ace queen on the turn. I believe is a 10. So that gives me quite a few more outs. As you can see, I'm a big underdog, a huge underdog, and I wouldn't say it gives me a few more outs, but at least I have some outs. I could win with a queen. I could tie with a 10, and I could tie if an ace comes, because then we would both have aces and tens, full house, aces over tens, or if a 10 comes, we'd have tens over aces. And of course, if a queen comes, I win. So, but anyway, ended up going broke that hand, and that was my night. Then the second week, I played on a Saturday, and this time I buy in for 300. We do sometimes a $10 double board bomb pot where There's 9 players at the table. Everyone puts in $10, or we play 9 or 10 players. Every player puts in 10. You basically got $100 pot from the get go. And anyway, I didn't have the best hand. I had an ace. I had top pair on one of the boards, and I had the ace of spades, and there was 2 spades on the bottom board. I had bet 30. One guy had raised me to 100, and I ended up shoving all in. It was a bad play. I should have folded to the re-raise. The guy on the bottom had basically flopped a low straight. He had something crazy like 2-6 offsuit or something, ended up flopping a straight. But anyway, the point, I'm not showing this hand because I'm just telling you a little backstory. Basically, I went from $300 to $500 because the guy had gone all in. Actually, two players went all in, and only won one of the pots, and the other bomb pot. I mean, we do 2 boards, so it's basically one pot, but there's two boards. So if one person wins and one person loses, you basically split the pot 50-50. But since there was a third player in the pot, the third player lost, and we basically split his money. So it was probably an $800 pot. I basically went from 300 to 500, somewhere around there. But anyway, I had limped in with something ridiculous, and this was the very next hand after I had just won a huge pot, and the flop was something like it was something like this. King, Queen, 5. And I believe there was 3 players in the hand. A guy in early position. I was in mid position. There was a guy in late position. The guy in late position, I believe, bet 25. The guy in early position called the 25. And I decided to raise to 200. No. On the flop, I think it. I think it just checked around, and then on the turn was another 5, and someone had bet. The person in late position bet 25. The next player called the 25, and then I re-raised to 200. The guy in late position calls me, and the guy in early position folds. And a little backstory on this mystery guy was there was a previous hand, a few hands prior, where the board was something like 5 was the highest on the board. The guy had nothing. I guess he maybe had a gut shot. I don't know. I really don't think he had a gut shot. I think there was 2 low cards on the board. Maybe he had a gut shot straight draw, but he bet $50 with basically nothing. He had ace high, and on the turn came a 10, and he had ace 10, and he bet again and got lucky on the turn with a 10 and ended up winning a good sized pot, betting with absolutely nothing on the flop and then sucking out. So that's the backstory on this guy I'm playing with. I believe he's an idiot. I believe he's a real donkey. And I think even though I was surprised he called my $200 raise, I'm thinking I could put him on Ace King. I could put him on Ace Queen. I could put him on Jack 10. I could put him on Ace 10. I really didn't think he was that strong. Like I said, this is a limp pot. There's no raise pre-flop. It checks on the flop. When the second 5 comes, I think I'm good. I think I'm good, and it may not even have been the 5 of clubs. I know this is terrible for me to do a poker blog and not even get the suits right, but I really don't think there was a flush out there. There might have been. There might have been a flush possibility on the turn to come on the river, but the river comes a blank. I can't remember what it was, but I want to say maybe it was like an 8 or something like that. It was kind of like a nothing card, and the guy ends up going all in. Now, if I had to do the hand again, I did it terribly. I'll admit it. I should have smooth called the 25 on the turn, and not really giving away my hand, because by re-raising when the second 5 comes, that's telling everyone, hey, I'm the one who has the 5. And I only have about $500, like I said, and I'm putting basically almost half of my chips at risk. And if I get re-raised all in or shoved on the river, like I'm kind of, at that point I'm kind of pot committed. I mean, because I only have about a little more than 200 behind, and the guy ends up going all in on the river, and I reluctantly call him, and you would never guess what he flips over. Pocket kings for a full house. Now, me in this situation, I would totally play it differently, because number one, the guy's in last position and he's limping in with kings. Now, if you limp with kings in first position, you would think someone behind you might raise it, and then you can re-raise him, and play for a bigger pot. But he called in late position with kings and didn't re-raise. If I had a full house on the river, and I know the guy that I'm playing against, i.e. me, is capable of a $200 or $300 or $500 bet on the river with absolutely nothing, with a bluff, or shoving all in for 1,000, for 2,000 with a bluff, I would probably check it to him and let the guy hang himself, and let him bet. But for him to lead out, to lead out on the river, going all in with a full house. I just don't think most people do that. I think most people would check there, wait for your opponent, who probably is going to bluff you. If he had put me on 3 5s, he definitely wants me to bet. But anyway, before the hand, I couldn't really see his chip stack. I had just won a hand. I probably even had more than 500. I might have had closer to 600, but I thought the guy had only bought in for 500. I thought he had lost a couple pots. I didn't think he had that much behind. He actually had rebought, and he had more chips than I thought he did. And in hindsight, I should have either flat called the 25 on the turn, or if I decided to re-raise, I should have raised maybe to 75. And if I raised to 75, then if I get re-raised or someone goes all in or whatever, then I can get away from the hand. But once I had re-raised him 200 on the turn, well, I didn't raise him 200 on top of the 25. I raised him 200 total. It was hard to get away from the hand because most of my chips or at least half of my chips are in the pot. And there's no way I put him on a full house here. There's no way I put him on pocket kings. The way he just played it was weird. He's he's not a very good player. He had just, like I said, bet ace 10 on the flop with absolutely nothing, and $50 and in a 1-3 game, and with absolutely nothing, and then catch the 10 on the turn to suck out. That's a horrible play, and he got rewarded for it. And then this was a horrible way to play pocket kings, and he got rewarded for it. But yeah, I just nothing in my head ever thought that, all right, well, maybe he's got pocket kings and he's got a full house here. There's nothing. Like I said, I think the flop was checked around. I don't even think anyone bet. Or if they did, it was like $10 or something. And like I said, the turn was either $25 or $35, and two players had called, and then I re-raised to 200, and the one player called and the other player folded. So I'm not sure what the third player had. But yeah, if you get a full house on the river in your first act, I would never bet out all in with a full house of kings over fives. I think you always check there and hope that your opponent will bluff at it, and then you can either raise all in or just call whatever the opponent bets. So this was week 2 of my poker journey. Like I said, the first night I had bought in for 400. The host spots me 100, and then I basically stakes me 100. I basically give him whatever, a percentage of whatever I win. If I win, if I lose, I just lose. So out of the first night, the 400, 300 was mine and 100 was his. And then the second night, I bought him for 200 and he staked me 100. So if I win, I basically got to pay him 33% or 34%, whatever, a third of the winnings. But anyway, hopefully I can have some more accurate hand history and maybe even start doing some video. But anyway, thank you for listening.